Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Meditation and Spiritual Practice. Um, we are in our Torah cycle of one of the most powerful and foundational stories in the book of Genesis, which is the story of Jacob has just left his home because he, with the help of his mother Rebecca, tricked his father Isaac into giving him, Jacob, the the firstborn blessing instead of his brother Esau. And his brother Esau wants to kill him, and so he is headed out to the house of his uncle Laban, in which he is going to work for 20 years. He's going to get married to two wives. He's going to build so much property and animals until finally, at the end of this parsha, he leaves. And so his journey away from his parents' house begins with him being on his own. And if you can imagine, it's towards evening time, and he feels the need to stop and camp and sleep. And it even says that usually we would think about we sleep once the sun sets and once it's nighttime and it's time to close our eyes. But the Midrash, the rabbi's commentary, says the sun set because Jacob stopped to sleep. So in some, very interesting interpretive uh, um, move, the rabbis are in some way connecting the fact that Jacob stopping at Hamakom, the place, was so powerful that it actually invited the entire world and the entire universe to support him in being connected to Hamakom, to the place. And what's interesting is, so it says, Vayifga Makom, and Jacob met the place. He stopped Hamakom and he went to sleep, and he has this famous dream of angels going up and down a ladder that's planted from the ground to the sky, and the angels are going up and down. And he has a incredible experience of God, and he makes this statement: surely God was in this place. Here, even the place and I did not know. Meaning he had kind of stopped at this place. He didn't know that God was there. He didn't know that God was anywhere necessarily until he has this dream and realizes that God was here all along, that God was always here. And immediately, and in this dream, God, of course, reveals to Jacob that there's going to be many generations that are going to flow from him. And specifically, God is going to be with him always. And he names this place after he meets it. Can you guess? Beth El, or Beit El, right? There's no accident that there are a lot of Temple Bethels around in the country, because it's named after this place where Jacob had stopped and had this dream. And then he moves on. He arrives at the house of Laban, and he has a whole years, 14, 16, 20 years of working with Laban, getting married, having to deal with the nitty gritty of life, under a boss who is not fair necessarily. But he gets to the place, and he's ready to leave. And as he's ready to leave, God says to him, as he says, raise your eyes and look at everything that you have, all the livestock, everything that has the abundance that you've had through me. And he says, God says, Ani Ha'el Beit El. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed those stones and had your dream and everything else. And what Rashi is very clear to the commentator is very clear to say at this point is when Jacob says, "I am the God of Bethel," it's not that he's saying because at that time different people there was it was a polytheistic world. There were gods of different places everywhere else. And God is saying according to Rashi not like I'm the God of that place Bethel. He's saying I'm God. I am the print I am the same God that you experienced at Bethel, now experiencing here, and now that you will experience forevermore. And in saying that, what Rabbi Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev is also saying is that by saying that I am the God of Beit El, the God of the house of God, he's in a sense saying that everything that you did, Jacob, your intention to want to make holy this space of wanting to come in and have a deeper relationship with me, that intention is what created the house for my presence. Meaning, after you had the experience of me with the angels going up and down the ladder, you went ahead and said that you wanted to honor and ground this experience and reality of me as being a motivator, as a central part of your life going forward. And by doing that, by making this not just a one-time experience, you have created a house for me to dwell in that goes beyond this place that you were in when you had your dream. And so there's something here. Well, I'll say one more thing about the dream. The dream of the angels going up and down the ladder can be interpreted in so many different ways. One of the ways it can look at is to really just talk about the dynamic of human consciousness when we have the intention to open up and be in a greater presence. And really what that is that when the angels are going up, that is a description of the expansion of consciousness, what the Hasidic masters call mochin di gadlut, great mind. And some of us have had that experience, whether that is an experience through meditation, whether that's an experience through seeing the birth of our children, whether it's an experience of awe of nature, whether that's an expanded experience under substances or drugs, whether that is whatever it is that comes in our life and opens our mind to see and be with the moment in a much greater, more expansive state. That is talked about the movement of the angels going up the ladder. But the angels come down the ladder, right? And it's the kind of idea that those experiences that we have can be incredibly enlightening and amazing. And yet, the natural way of being a human being is that consciousness is going to contract again to what's called mochin di katnut, or small mind. Meaning, in order to really function in the world, to do our taxes, to to shop for our house, to do all the little things that we have to do, we've got to be able to function in a more limited, more narrow frame of mind to focus on details, right? And to be able to deal with things. And so it's going to be natural that our consciousness is going to constrict back down. The angels are going to come down the ladder. The question is, how often, the more that we are able to expand our awareness so that the angels come up again and come down, the more we increase the frequency of that up and down, and the more that we increase that vibration and be able to sense more and more in our lives that expanded state of consciousness, even as we are going through the details, right? Even as we're going through the details, the more that we give ourselves, we have the intention to expand out of our narrow place and let the angels come up, the more that that state is going to be with us, almost as what's called a reshimu or an imprint, as we're moving in our more contracted state of consciousness. But the key, right? The key to increasing that frequency of that up and down has to do with having an intention towards that greater sense of awareness, or that intention towards God. And our Jewish tradition has that in so many of the different ways, whether that's when we wake up in the morning saying Moda Ani, I give thanks to God, all these little prayers and reminders. There is a practice of saying blessings with everything we eat, right? Not just making a hamotzi on Shabbat when we're eating bread in that ritual space, but even saying a blessing over a piece of fruit, or even when we go to the bathroom, there is a blessing, thanking God for the openings that still work and let everything go in, right? It's so mundane, but it's so much about trying to invite in that greater awareness, even into the mundane pieces. And for sure, when we are spending time meditating and opening in a deeper way to the present moment, to more that's happening, we're also increasing that possibility of that expanded attention. But we create the house for God's presence to be, the Beit El, through our intention. And that's what we're really going to focus on this morning in our meditation. Okay, so find a comfortable place to sit for a period of time that you can be in without moving around too much. We'll start with a nigun, a melody that will take us into the silent Amidah. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, I, I. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, I, I. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, I, I. I, die, 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 die. I, die, 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 die. I, I, I. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I I I. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I I. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I I. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. I I da 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 da. Begin by putting your awareness, paying attention to the movement of breath, noticing the air as it enters your nostrils or your mouth, noticing the way the body expands to make room for the inhale, and following the air as it leaves the body, noticing the contraction of the belly or the chest on the exhale. And as you pay attention to this movement of breath, begin to tap into, become aware of your intention for this practice. Whether your intention is to connect with that greater presence that we are all a part of, whether that's an intention to notice stillness, wholeness, whether that intention is to be a part of and let the idea of ourselves as separate beings dissolve into identifying with all of creation inside us, outside of us, beyond us. Feel your intention. Let it be the center of your awareness. Right? It's not, our intention should go deeper than just being present with our breath or our body. That's a technique, that's a method, that's a vehicle, but it's not the destination. Let your intention around the destination not as necessarily a fixed place to go to, but more of the Torah talks about hamakom, the place, the presence that we are a part of. That we want to open to awaken to. As you expand your awareness to include not just the movement of breath, but the sensations of the body, the sounds around in the room, everything in your field of experience. Let your intention be the threads that weave throughout all of your attention. Let your desire motivate your attention. And consider that your very intention, the threading and the weaving of intention into this moment, into your attention, is what creates the Beit El, the house of God. The very intention you have is in itself the holy presence. That's what we're gonna stay with for our practice today, is being aware of breath and body and all the aspects of the moment that we pay attention to ground us in this present reality, the only reality. But in addition to paying attention, we're also staying present to our intention, to our motivation for being here today. And to honor and hold that intention as the presence itself, as the makom. Di, 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 di.